Hello, everyone. Happy New Year and welcome to our very first edition of Ask Dr. Dansinger for 2026. So, what better time to talk about New Year's resolutions? And we have so many questions that have come in over the past week to ask Dr. Dansinger about how to create and how to maintain their New Year's resolutions for improving their diet for better artery health. So, with that, welcome, Dr. Dansinger. Happy New Year. Thank you again for donating your time every single week. Make sure to those who are watching on YouTube, subscribe to our channels. Make sure to subscribe to Michael Dansinger, MD on YouTube and also The Way to My Heart. It really helps us to get the message out to more and more people. So, Dr. Dansinger, what is your New Year's resolution for better health? Are we cutting down on the sweet tea?
Happy New Year, Kim. Happy New Year to everyone. If you all didn't show up each week and submit questions and your insights, then we wouldn't be able to get together like this. So I'm grateful for that. So, you know, my own New Year's resolutions are number one, I want to continue I did okay in 2025, but more importantly, I want to build on that in 2026. And we're all on a journey, including myself. So there's always room. Every single person has the opportunity to do a worse job or a better job with their eating and their exercise and their health. So I'm, taking my health seriously, and that's front and center. And so that is a resolution, but also big picture, just beyond myself, right? I want to have an impact on others and pay it forward. And so looking for opportunities to make a difference in my household, in my family, in my neighborhood, in my community, in my state, in my country, and in the world. We
and,
all have an
and
important
globally.
role to play, mostly in the people who know us and care about us. But just as an example, my parents are in their 80s, and I have the best gift they've ever given to me is keeping themselves healthy, in so that I can continue to enjoy my time with them. And so that's that being a role model for others. Those are some of my resolutions. Thank you for asking.
Well, we had a couple people that wanted to make sure that you knew that even if they're not here live, that they are catching the rerun, and they wanted to make sure I tell you that they appreciate you so much for taking the time to do this, and they don't want you to think that they are not here, that they're not watching. Well, they're watching, and they appreciate all the extra information that you provide. And even Heinz, who's actually here in our live studio audience, was saying how much he appreciates all of the information that you give, even if he doesn't want to eat half of what you say to eat. Right, Heinz?
Exactly. I don't do seafood.
Right.
So I think we should start there. How can he get his omegas and all the health benefits of salmon and sardines if he's not eating seafood?
Yeah, it's a great question. So yeah, for those who like fish or shellfish, you want to eat that, but not everyone can or wants to have fish or shellfish. Um, so omega threes are what we're talking about here, and the best omega threes come from fish and shellfish, also from seaweed has it, but um, other wild plants. So omega threes are can come in a form that's vegetarian, but not everyone can benefit so much from the vegetarian sources of omega threes, and that's where fish oil capsules come in, or krill oil. And so for people who cannot or will not eat fish on a regular basis, there may well be a role for fish oil. And it's something, like with all supplements, you want to check with your healthcare team about whether it's appropriate for you. But it is quite possible to get your omega 3s, your EPA and DHA levels in particular, up nice and high using fish oil.
And what about chia seeds and flax
Yeah,
seeds?
chia seeds.
So I have to share one of my New Year's resolutions. I think you'll like
Mhm.
this. is I found a recipe for a and it's for omega 3s. It's chia seeds in water, leaving them in the water overnight with a little bit of First Harvest, hand-picked extra virgin olive oil, and a little, bit of turmeric. So I cut up some fresh turmeric in there, and I'm having it every morning. So I'm hoping that's going to do something. Will that be helpful for someone like me and someone like Heinz?
So yes, the answer is yes. You want vegetarian omega-3, absolutely. But the brain and the body need, the heart and the brain, they need EPA that or omega-3 that's been converted to EPA or DHA, and not everyone can get that from the vegetarian omega-3. So it depends on the person. You want omega-3. Not every individual is good at converting the vegetarian omega-3 into the
Mm.
EPA and the DHA, but you want that, and regardless of how well your body converts the vegetarian omega-3, you want to be eating foods from those sources. And so wild plants do have we hardly eat anything that's wild anymore. But if you ever have the opportunity to eat wild foods, that's a great source of omega 3s.
So I have one for Heinz that maybe I don't know if you're going to like this, Dr. Danziger, but it's how I started eating fish. And it's funny because I'm in California, I have the freshest fish, right? But I didn't start eating sushi until I went to Tulsa, Oklahoma.
No
The
kidding.
restaurant we went to was shipping in the fish every single night. And um, my friend taught me that in order to start integrating the salmon into my diet, she told me to get a Philly roll in rice paper versus in seaweed because I didn't like anything that tasted fishy. And the reason that the salmon roll worked and the reason I didn't taste the fishiness is one, no seaweed on the outside, but two, it's packed with cream cheese that masks the flavor of the salmon. And I did that also with tuna. So I started integrating those until I got used to the flavor into my diet. And that was my start for fish eating.
That's great. That's great. So,
I
what
don't
else?
know what you think about that, Dr. Danziger. A little extra
So,
cream cheese in there. Will that be okay? It's a
so
little square.
up in the New England area, right? We also believe we have some pretty good fish and seafood. So, smoked salmon's pretty popular up here, and people will sometimes have smoked salmon or lox for
Mhm.
breakfast, but instead of putting it on a bagel with cream cheese, right? Maybe they'll get the Greek yogurt and add lots of dill and red onions and capers, and maybe put that on a wasa cracker instead of a bagel, or on
Or in a
those.
cucumber. That's what
Yes,
I do.
yes, absolutely. Or I'm a big fan of the egg life wraps, which are
Oh, yeah.
shaped like tortillas. So sometimes some of my patients will get one of these. They have a egg life wrap called poppy seed or everything bagel, and then you put the Greek yogurt on that, and the lox and capers and onions and dill, and roll it up. That's a pretty good snack for breakfast or anytime.
That's brilliant. That's even great for dipping vegetables in as a little snack. That would be awesome. Thank you for that. What about I get the turmeric laden coconut wraps from Amazon. So it's just coconut, turmeric, and I think water is I think what they're made of.
Sounds
And they're
good.
really good.
Sounds good. Absolutely.
Okay, so Maria, she wants to know how to improve her A1C in circulation this year, but she said she's failed at diets before. What is the first small food change you'd recommend that she can commit to in January that would actually make a difference that she can see?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I don't know all the particulars, but if you're like many people, you've got unhealthy, obvious food in the house that's obviously unhealthy that just needs to go. And for some people, it's ice cream or cookies or cake. So almost all households have obvious unhealthy treats that become temptations, especially at night. And so for many people, that's the way to go. Maybe it's soda with sugar. So ultra processed foods with sugar, starch, or fats or salt, that for many people, just doing a better job keeping that out of the house is the way to go. For other people, it's just a matter of being disciplined about filling half the plate with vegetables. And we all know vegetables are good. And some people won't eat a vegetable all, throughout any of the year ahead.
Do you
But,
see Heinz shaking his head? We
so
just had this before the show, Dr. Dansinger. No Brussels sprouts and no asparagus for him.
so those are my top two is get that some for there's a big difference between knowing what to do versus doing it consistently. And we all have to be methodical. We have to plan ahead. We have to use our willpower. I mean, that's a big part of it. And so it's easy to say, I'm going to get the the processed crap out of the house, or I'm going to fill half my plate with vegetables. Easy to say, not so easy to do. It takes planning and discipline.
And Heinz, we joke with you, but there are a lot of things. He really does eat healthy, and his wife also helps to integrate, some good stuff into his meals, maybe that he doesn't see or know about. It's just like with integrating some spinach and such into a brownie.
Exactly.
Exactly. So he's doing a great job. He gets great reviews from his doctor, his cardiologist. So we're just teasing you, Heinz. We appreciate you being here. And he is taking steps. So it is possible, even if you don't like certain things, that you can find, right, Heinz? You can find things that are healthy and to eat.
I'm constantly looking for newer things that are healthy.
Yep. And James is wondering, he said he's been told to eat better, but no one ever explains what that really looks like week to week. How does he turn that advice into a realistic plan that he can actually follow, maybe starting meal by meal?
Okay, great. It's an important question. It's one that's hard to answer adequately in a short time. If it was so easy, everyone would just do it. But let me give you an example. Okay, so a healthy meal starts with the right mindset and making it a top priority and saying, okay, food is the main way that I can help myself or harm myself. And I'm going to use the power of food for good and not um, for unhealthy pleasure. And then you want to make a date with the grocery store. For example, I go to the grocery store every Wednesday night. So if someone wanted to find me, they could find me at my local grocery store at 8 p.m. on a Wednesday. And if I can't make that date, then I know that I'm going to go on Tuesday or Thursday instead because I have alternate plans on Wednesday. So I have a standing date with the grocery store. And in order to be prepared for the grocery store, I need a grocery list. And I'm going to be methodical enough to buy the whole week's worth of groceries in one fell swoop. So I'm organized in that way. And for my grocery list to be adequate, I need to have thought about what meals am I going to be eating this week. And so that takes a lot of foresight. What am I going to have on Thursday, Friday, Saturday? Be at least three days or even a full week ahead. So that is the mindset. Be organized with your meals, which means having the right groceries in the cupboard and fridge, which means having the right grocery list. And so if you have a methodical approach like that, that's how you create healthy meals. The rest is just recipes and, fill your plate with vegetables and protein.
Fantastic. Okay, so we have another one in our live studio audience that has a question. James, go ahead and unmute and ask your question. Also, welcome to our weekly office hours. We haven't had you before, so excited to have you on as a newbie.
Yeah, hi. I don't necessarily have so many questions about food. Um,
Okay.
I cook quite a bit. I definitely use butter because it tastes good.
Do
But
you
I
use
eat
grass-fed,
vegetables,
grass finished?
seafood. Um, I do. I don't specifically look for that. I eat a lot of prime beef mostly. But if I find, like I have some grass-fed, grass-finished sirloins in the freezer. I don't eat, like I had lamb last night and asparagus. I have chicken, vegetables. I eat Brussels sprouts. I'll eat cauliflower. I don't eat a lot of processed foods. I might have a burger once a week when I bowl, you know. I understand the importance of all that. It's a lot of the problems I'm having, Kim, as I discussed or I tried to talk to you a little bit about, is just I'm nowhere. I've been watching my blood for years. And my last test came and they kind of scared me a little, but they've always kind of been that way. But since I've been trying to do things and they didn't budge, I kind of got a little fearful about it. As far as diet, I don't think I'm really overweight. I'm sure everybody could lose 10 pounds. I have a lot of other medical issues that have led up to this, I guess to say. So it's harder for me, I think, than some other people. But on the other hand, my PAD, I don't think is nearly as difficult for most people, that from what I find on your Facebook page. That makes any sense.
Thank
I
you.
don't know.
Thank you for sharing that. If you were going to reframe it into one question, what would you ask?
Again, this is Kim suggested this while we were talking today about another topic. My biggest concern uh, is I don't even know. That's just that I don't get a lot of guidance. I'm not even sure where to start as far as I don't. Diet's important. I understand exercise is important, but it's not. I don't think it's really working for me. I've got to up my exercise. I know that. Um,
So
but
I think that one of the places, Dr. Dansinger, this is really one of your specialties. And I think, James, you could really take notes on this when we do get you to another cardiologist. Dr. Dansinger is an expert at advanced blood work that helps you probably to learn a little bit more. He used to be the medical director over at Boston Heart Diagnostics, the chief medical officer over there. And Boston Heart Diagnostics, the blood work they offer changed my dad's life. It has advanced lipid panels. It has a test for cholesterol reabsorption issues versus liver production issue, which gives you a better picture as to why you might have a few more bad cholesterol particles, LDL particles roaming around. For my dad, it turns out he wasn't having enough bowel movements each day. And all it took was seeing a dietitian to increase his psyllium husk and his plant sterols in his daily diet that helped him to improve his cholesterol without even having to take a statin. Um, what else helped him? A test, what's called MTHFR. It's a gene mutation that it can tell you if your body's having trouble turning food into fuel, which you may not even realize. It silently leads to like nails on your artery walls because there's an enzyme
that's
called homocysteine
that's
that doesn't get
yeah,
broken
that's something that I discussed. I tried to discuss with my primary care. And she's maybe not as well versed in these kind of things. I don't want to say that. But she said that's kind of what the ApoA did. And I was like, oh, okay, because I don't know, but I was my father had diabetes. I don't have diabetes. I mean, I might be starting to approach it with my triglycerides. I'm not sure. But my father had diabetes very badly. I honestly think he had peripheral artery disease as well. He passed away when I was considerably many, many years ago, maybe 30 years ago, maybe 20 years ago. He
Yeah,
lost
and
both his
Dr. D.
legs. So
Oh,
there was a
wow.
lot of things that happened with him that I don't think he was diagnosed. And he did a lot of the things that I find myself doing. And it's scary because I know they didn't work for him. My
Yeah,
mother
and
was a
so when we
nurse.
see a family history like that, there's something going on genetically in the blood, which can include gene mutations. It can include blood clotting issues that are hereditary. Dr. Danzinger, would you mind going through some of this really important blood work to kind of get to the bottom of what might be damaging or wreaking havoc on your arteries, or how you phrase it, lighting your arteries on fire?
Yeah. Okay, sure. So, and then we have a video that talks about sort of 10 things that contribute to
We
why
do.
your arteries are on fire. And so there's a lot of different underlying causes. And you're right, Kim, that the blood work can help get to, what remains as an ongoing aggravating factor. So, for many people, if they're smoking, that's the number one on our list is try to, deal with that. Number two is, you know, too much of the small dense LDL cholesterol. Some people have their total LDL under control, but they have a lot of the small dense LDL cholesterol. Some people have too much cholesterol because of genetics. Other people have too much cholesterol because of their liver is overproducing, or maybe they're absorbing too much cholesterol from the intestinal tract. And so there's blood tests that can help sort that out. Um, High blood sugar is a big issue for most all of my patients. If you don't have diabetes, then that's wonderful. But for anyone who does have peripheral artery disease and diabetes, getting the blood sugar under control with an A1C as close to 6 as possible is important. Managing the gut bacteria can play an important role. Stress plays an important role. There's lots of things in modern life that stress us out, and managing stress is a skill set, and there's sleep. So there's a lot, and then high cortisol, which is linked to stress. So there's lots of different issues that can contribute to inflamed arteries. Even having tests of how much inflammation is going on in the arteries can be an important step. And
Right.
then we
That's
were talking about
LPPLA2, right?
LPPLA2, yes, and then MTHFR. So there are advanced lipid testings. There are certain doctors probably in your area who do specialize in that kind of work, but for many people, they're not fully leveraging lifestyle, so eating and exercise. So,
And he is in Florida, Dr. Dansinger. So, diabetesreversalpartners.com. I don't know what the doctor would need to say to get insurance to cover
right.
meeting weekly with
I
you.
so for people who live in Florida, I accept Medicare Advantage PPO or just traditional Medicare.
And is there anything in particular they have to say? Do they actually have to have diabetes in order to get them to
Oh,
cover?
peripheral artery disease or high cholesterol, or right.
Oh, fantastic. Oh my goodness, that could be really helpful, James. So we should check with your insurance company to see. But if you go to diabetesreversalpartners.com and you can message Dr. Danzinger there, he can actually probably check with your insurance to see if they would cover
Mhm.
services for you, which I think could be really helpful to have weekly support for diet. I mean, there are great things that Dr. Danzinger has talked about in the past, including foods that can act as vasodilators in your blood, things like ginger. The PAD management guidelines for 2024 say that cilostazol is frontline treatment. It's a vasodilator. It helps you to walk further and faster. But the problem is with that particular drug, there are a lot of side effects. And there are natural things that can also act as vasodilators. And Dr. Danzinger can work with you on increasing those foods in your diet so they can help you walk further and faster. Also, some great foods out there, Dr. Danzinger, that can help lower blood pressure, which is really helpful. What are some of those?
Well, my favorite ones are vegetables, especially the
Mhm.
colorful ones. So beets, are a source of nitric oxide, which helps dilate arteries. And all the things that turn these vegetables vivid colors are biologically active compounds that are good for the arteries. So I like a rainbow salad or cooked vegetables, an autumn harvest vegetable um, melange that's roasted in the oven.
Mm.
So it's the combination of all these things that I think works best.
I like making a little ratatouille with some of your favorite vegetables and just slicing them off in a mandolin. And it includes those purple sweet potatoes. It includes the beets. Um, and then, I sprinkle the leaves of the beets on there as well. They don't really have any flavor, but I find that maybe I could add some
Right.
nutrients to it as well. I'm allergic to zucchini, but also eggplant. Eggplant is
Oh,
purple. That's a great one.
yeah. So a traditional ratatouille would have zucchini, eggplant, tomatoes, maybe some basil, olive
Mm.
oil, and then you'd bake that in the oven.
Well, thank you, Dr. Danziger. We have so many more questions left, but you know what? Thank goodness we have office hours every single week with you. If you're watching this and you haven't joined our weekly office hour and you have questions, you can do it by YouTube and put your questions in and submit them. Just subscribe to our channels, youtube.com/the @ Michael Danziger, MD. Subscribe to that channel. You can also subscribe to youtube.com/the @ the weight of my heart, and you can submit your questions there. But if you want to be added to our live in studio audience and you want to be here with him and ask all of your questions yourself, as we had with Heinz today, and we also had James who had courage to jump in and ask their questions live, make sure you just email info@padhelp.org and say you want to be on the calendar invites each week, and we'll send you these Zoom links so you can be in studio. But we also get your comments and questions via YouTube or via Facebook or via Twitter, wherever this video plays. We'll grab those and make sure that we get them answered for you on a weekly basis. But don't forget to go to diabetesreversalpartners.com as well. If you're in New Hampshire, Massachusetts, New York, Minnesota, Virginia, or Florida, because his services are covered by Medicare and Medicare Advantage PPO plans. But Happy New Year, everyone. And thank you so much again to Dr. Danziger for volunteering his time every week to answer your questions to help you live a better quality of life.